Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just for our transcriptionist benefit, all board members are present this evening. Richard Krogan is present this evening. And in place of Mr. Welch this evening, we have Mr. Martinez, our building inspector. Okay, we'll move on to the agenda. Martina, did everyone get the minutes, the final minutes, or they have? Okay. So first on the agenda this evening would be the approval of October the 6th, 2021 Planning Board minutes. I need a motion for approval. Ms. Witt, I need a second. Mr. Madden, any discussion? Any changes? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Mr. Numchuck.
Mr. Numjack, did I miss you? I'm sorry, I apologize. You weren't here last week, so I'm not in the
That's
mood.
right. So I'll abstain.
You're right. Thank you. First on the agenda this evening is Alan Sun, 247 to 253 West Main Street Restaurant. And just also for the record, anybody here this evening for the first time, it's a first-time applicant appearance, is considered a preliminary hearing, and the planning board may or may not choose to act or vote on those applications tonight. All right, Mr. Sun, please step up. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? Thank you. Mr. Sun, just please state your intentions.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Actually, my name is Jian Hu, representing this project 247 West Main Street. Basically, this is an existing building. My client tried to do renovation, turn it into a Korean restaurant. So basically, this spot was vacant for more than 1 year. We plan to use it as Korean restaurant, has some renovation, including adding ADA ramp, ADA bathroom, adding some seats inside, interior part. We plan to have 4 to 5 employees, and the operating time will be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days per week. So regarding the parking, we have, for now, if you see the plan, we have total 48 seats on the plan. And we, in terms of the zoning, we are required 10 parking spots, which we provided 10 parking, including 1 ADA parking spot. Yeah, that's basically. Oh, by the way, we plan to add east elevation. If you check the elevation, existing east elevation has 2 small windows here. We try to replace it with larger size windows to match the. If you see the right hand side, match the large size, but exactly the same size with the existing window, just bigger. So that's all the renovation in the plan.
Thank you. We're going to open the public hearing. Anyone from the public wishing to step forward and comment on this application, now's the time. Ms. Tu, do we have anyone on the telephone? Do we have any written responses? Ms. Hanson, do we have anyone online?
We do not.
Okay. We'll leave the public hearing open, and we'll move on to the board for any questions or comments. Just a little background. The applicant has agreed, because might be a parking issue, may or may not be, okay? Right now, he's already adjusted his occupancy, He's lowered his occupancy to meet the parking regs, so he has the number of parking spots listed. He has agreed that when the fire inspector determines what the occupancy will be, he will also adjust his parking. If it has to be less, it'll be less. He does not have control over the property. He has spoken to the landlord. He has room to do some improvements on the land and increase the parking. But at this point in time, he cannot do that. So he is willing to adjust his parking and his occupancy. And that'll make sure that's in the resolution as well. Mr. Theron or Mr. Atkins, you hope you're aware of that, I believe, right? Okay. Any questions?
Can we just waive the parking? He's in the DMU, right? Or
No, it's not.
No, I
can't.
cannot,
Okay.
right. That's why we asked him to reduce his occupancy and his parking. We all know that we would waive parking for maybe 1 or 2 spots, but he actually has the room and the ability to possibly add parking wherever possible. Okay?
Because I know in this building, usually there was parking in front, because now, is the entrance going to be in the front or the rear?
In the front. In the front, at the beginning, we planned to have some parking spots here, but per the suggestion, we all moved to the rear yard. But
The parking spots in the front were actually on the roadway. They were not on his
It's on the
property.
roadway. Okay.
So we asked him to remove them. We have no control over that road. So the boundary line is kind of hard to see there. But he can't have any parking basically in the very front of the building. He does have room for a handicap spot, so that would be okay.
So the handicap spot's going to be right in front where it has the H, but all the other parking spots are going to be in the rear of the building.
That's correct.
And then I see the arrow, so there's only going to be one entrance and one exit going in
one
and
way
going
in,
out.
Yeah.
That's his traffic flow. That's the way he wants to do it around the building. Yes.
Is there going to be extra lighting in the back for the parking? Is there enough lighting in the back?
I need to double check on that, but I believe so.
There is a big light back there. Me and the chairman went to the property.
Okay.
There is a big light, and it looks like it shines towards the auto that's back there.
Because the
But
auto's right next door, right?
That's right.
Thank you.
Can you just explain where the ADA ramp is leading to and where is it entering into the business?
Sure. If you turn to the page, to the plan, existing plan and the proposed floor plan, you can see the ramp on the left-hand side. You access from close to the ADA parking. From the left, that's a ramp start point, and you go north and turn back all the way to the platform. On the you can see the door there, the exit door.
That appears like it's going into a storage room.
Storage room, past storage room, yeah, past it. That's a big open storage room. Per code, it's allowed to exit from the from storage, big storage, open storage to exit.
In all honesty, what's happened there, Mr. Madden, just so you know, and he might have to make some adjustments, the storage that you see that's directly off of the handicap ramp right now, he had additional seating, so it was going to be part of his restaurant. So again, when he made his adjustment for occupancy and parking, he removed, I don't know, must have been 20 seats there, so I'm not sure the exact number, and in doing so, he has left an open area. He has called it storage. What it will finally be, I don't know, and the DPW and the Middletown Fire Department will have to ensure that the handicap area is clear for people to come in and out. That'll be in the resolution also.
Sure.
Thank you.
But another question too about the handicap. If the handicap parking spot is in front, how do you get to the ramp to get into the door from the front? Because it's,
You from the handicap
missing.
parking, your wheelchair will be, from the left using the ramp. regarding the handicap parking, we only have two choices. One is showing on the plan. Another one is on the back, the rear yard area, close to the ramp. So we just compare these two schemes. We think it's make more sense to park on the front, which is easier for family to move.
Are you having issue with the distance between the handicap parking spot and the actual ramp itself?
Yeah.
Well, we could leave that up to the DPW to determine the best spot to put it. They could move the handicap spot alongside the building and closer to the ramp.
That's what
And I still think they would have clearance for any traffic that went by them.
Yeah.
But I would let the field people kind of adjust that and make it work the best for the site.
Okay.
Right. Right now, I'm trying to keep 24 feet clear for the driveway.
And we can leave that up to the DPW when they do the final construction plans and they do the final inspections. Do you understand that, sir?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Our DPW can determine what is compliant with the New York state law, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're good.
Yeah. Any other questions from the board members? Any other concerns?
Mr. Atkins.
Mr. Atkins.
I went out and we discussed the room that you're adding with the barbecue hood. And I think we need to have conversation before you go into permits about an exit out of that room. Okay? I think you're gonna need to put an exit on the rear of that room there.
You mean close to the exit door?
Yeah, close to the exit that's already there.
Adding an extra door there.
Yes. And then,
We-
the
we-
barbecue hood, that's gonna be a hood system over top, you're gonna have like a open flame barbecue going on there, correct?
Yes, but it's very common in restaurant, in Korean restaurant.
Yeah, no, I understand, so.
Yeah, yes.
So we need to have further conversations before you get into permits,
Okay,
so we make sure you and I are on the same page, so you're not going back and forth.
understand.
Okay.
We don't have problem adding extra door there. But
Yeah,
it's
when we
not-
talked about it when I was out there, and,
Okay.
and I know you turned that other area into storage,
Yeah,
so,
it was not me, but I totally understood.
Right.
Yeah.
okay. That's all.
Mr. Atkins, who controls the grease?
As far as policing it, it would be, they would hire a third-party vendor.
But is there a distance that a trap or a vent has to be kept?
Not necessarily, there's setbacks for the vapors, the hood systems, there's setbacks for that, but that's gonna be on the roof.
I
And
think-
as far as like used grease and stuff like that, there are certain setbacks, it's pretty narrow, but they use third-party vendors, and those vendors supply tickets when that stuff's cleaned, and
Because there is a container there,
Yeah, an existing one.
a waste container, grease container that
Right.
is there in the back corner of the property.
Yep.
So, I mean, the applicant will just have to follow the code wherever that needs to be safely positioned.
typically it's in a dumpster area, in a gated dumpster area.
Right now, there is no dumpster area, gated or otherwise, so,
They have some work to do,
yep,
yep.
yep. Final approval.
And I spoke with them out there, we walked the property. It's a mess right now because of all the construction going
Yeah.
on the street.
Yep, they're working
So,
on the
but-
culvert there, yes.
But I think they understand and they're willing to do what they gotta do, so.
Okay, that's good. Ms. Witt?
Will you be, I see that on your plan, you have a deck on the proposed floor plan. Is that going to be for outdoor seating, or is that just for your
No.
use?
Just a existing situation, we don't have any plan to use it.
Okay, thank you.
Another question, are you serving alcohol? Are you getting
Can I ask my
a license?
my 提供酒吗？提供酒吗？Answer is no.
No?
Mr. Atkins, the dumpster, does that have to be enclosed? Sorry.
Yeah, there are codes that require dumpsters to be in an enclosed area, gated.
Thank you.
Yep.
Again, that'll be under the DPW and Middletown Fire Department review. And of course, the applicant will be subject to those decisions. All right. I'm going to go back to the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to step forward and comment on this application? Ms. Tu, anyone on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing. Going to move back onto the board one more time for any questions or comments or concerns.
Just curious, how many employees will you have?
For now, we plan 4 to 5.
4 to 5, okay. And what will your hours of operation be? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I missed that on the paperwork. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just for clarification, in our preliminary, it was 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. You just have to pick what you want, so when I put it in the resolution, so do you want, by your first application, it was 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week.
Right.
During our preliminary, it was 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Which
Yeah.
do you prefer?
Actually, this one probably the final is 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days per week. Thank you.
I just have one final question. What will be your restaurant name? Have you come up with a name yet?
Let me check with my client.
Okay.
Restaurant 餐厅的名字。一善 Korean restaurant. 一善 Korean restaurant.
How would I spell that? How would I spell it? I mean, how are you going to spell it? Yeah.
ILLON. YINS. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. YISHAN. That's it. Sorry, didn't get you first time. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, that being said, with no more, any other questions or comments or concerns from the board, I'll move on to a resolution. For 247 to 253 West Main Street, a restaurant, which will be serving no alcohol at this time. Daily operational hours will be 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. daily. The applicant will try to provide adequate lighting around the structure, especially in the parking area. Work with the DPW on any handicap movement. And of course, as always, subject to City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Planning, City of Middletown Fire Department, inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of the Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the City of Middletown and the State of New York, if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables to an architect or engineer licensed in the State of New York. And of course, we'll just have to add too that his occupancy, once determined, he'll adjust his parking accordingly. And if he has to later on, if he has the ability to increase the parking, he'll be able to increase his occupancy. All right, I need a motion. Ms. Hewson, second Ms. Witt. Discussion? Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Hewson?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Get with the DPW for your proper permits.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you. Good luck. Next on the agenda this evening is 5 to 11 West Main Street, second and third floor residential apartments. How you doing this evening, sir?
Good, how you doing? I'm Todd from Fusco Engineering.
Please state the intent.
The intent is at 5 and 11. We have an existing three-story brick structure. Currently used is a restaurant on the first floor. Second floor is used for a gathering room or a community room. And the third floor is a single, a two-bedroom apartment. So the proposed use is to renovate the second and third floor for 3 apartments per floor, a total of 6 apartments.
Martina, you have the mailings?
So we'll open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to comment on this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, do you have anyone on the telephone? Any written responses? Ms. Hanson, do we have anyone online?
We do not.
Okay, we'll keep the public hearing open and move on to the board for any comments, questions, or concerns. This has been looked at by Mr. Welch and signed off by Mr. Welch, so, and I'm sure, I think Mr. Atkins has also had time to take a look at it. So make sure it meets all our codes and requirements.
So, Duran, it does meet all the codes for the size of each unit?
Yes,
It does?
Yeah. Zoning codes, and it's fully sprinkled and alarmed, so.
Okay. And the entrances to all of these are through the building in the front, right? On West Main, right? East? West Main, correct? Yeah.
I had a question on the back stairwell. It still shows that that goes right into the restaurant, doesn't it?
No, that's going to be sealed up.
Okay.
That portion's going to be sealed up. They're going to utilize the 5-foot corridor coming down the side of the apartments. So that's going to be just constructed in.
Susan?
I don't believe there's an elevator in that building, but I'm just triple checking.
No,
Okay.
no, there's no elevator.
All right, I'm going to go back to the public hearing. Anyone wishing to step forward and comment on this application? Ms. Tu, anyone on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to go to the board one more time for any comments, questions, or concerns.
There's no access to the roof on the third floor for the apartments to go up?
No, just the
Is there?
second floor. There's a fire escape on the back side of the.
There is?
So we're going to have egress points all on the front side of West Main.
Okay.
All those egress points for the bedrooms, the emergency escape openings.
Right.
They will be on the front side, the front portion of the building.
Okay, great.
So just so you know in the resolution, because this isn't a DMU zone, we'll be waiving parking, requesting any facade work or signage. I know it's an existing structure, but for any changes to the facade or signage will be through the Architectural Review Board.
Does that include windows, if there's any windows? Or is it
Windows?
just the physical structure, the brick structure?
Yes, if you're going to change any windows or do any window work, yes.
Not additional, not taking away any glazing, but just reconfiguring the glass and the millwork. Would that be?
Are you affecting the exterior?
No. It would be the existing opening, and then if we have to make an egress window, a certain requirement off the ground, off the finished floor.
Okay.
So if you have to reconstruct, the mullion of the window, and we have to do something like that, I don't think that would have to go to the.
To be honest with you, I don't think it would either, but I would just check in with the Architectural Review Board to make sure we're not in violation and that you're doing the right thing, no matter what you're doing. Okay? I know if it's not if it's not an aesthetic change, but whatever you're doing, it may change and they may have to be involved.
Okay.
And because it's DMU, he'll have to have a waste.
Yeah, I'll also read that in, there's a waste collection, part of the code now, which I will read in just for DMUs going forward. But I'm sure you can find that out very easy through the DPW. All right, I close the public hearing. Back to the board for any questions or comments. Anything else? Okay, on the resolution then, for 5 to 11 West Main Street, second and third floor residential apartments. There'll be a total of 6 one-bedroom apartments. You'll be going to the Architectural Review Board just to make sure everything is on the up and up, okay? We'll be waiving parking. And you'll be subject to the City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of the Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the City of Middletown and the State of New York if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables to an architect or engineer licensed in the State of New York. Whereas this application is located in the DMU zone, all applicants must submit and receive approval from the Department of Public Works according to Chapter 407 Solid Waste, Article 2 Collection, Section 407-3, Collection, and comply with this section and any other sections enacted by the Common Council from this date forward. I need a motion. Mr. Brito, I need a second. Mr. Madden. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes.
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Please see the DPW and the Architectural Review Board.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda, 59 to 61 North Street, an event venue.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I serve an elected office with one of our applicants. However, I can remain completely objective, and there's nothing related to our elected positions with this application, but if anyone has an issue, I'm happy to recuse myself.
Does any board member have an issue?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Please state your names for the record and what your intent is.
My name is Mitchell Williams. Everybody has to state their own name, or I can state their names. This is my sister, LaShawn Williams, and my
Okay.
niece, Daisha Hodge.
All right,
And
thank
our
you.
intent is to have a small event venue at 59 North Street. It's providing space for rent and decor. We're going to do like family celebrations, baby showers, children's birthday, corporate events, and other community photo shoots and other gatherings such as that.
Okay. Ms. Tu, do we have our mailings? Do we have, I'm going to open the public hearing. Do we have anyone on the telephone, Ms. Tu? Any written comments? Ms. Hanson, do we have anyone online?
We do not.
Okay, we're going to step away from the public hearing momentarily, and we're going to go to the board for any comments, concerns, questions. Ms. Witt?
Hi,
Hey.
how are you?
How you doing?
My one question is, with your plans, are you going to have 2 restrooms or 1 restroom? It wasn't really put on your plan. Is the washroom the restroom for public?
There's 2 restrooms in
Okay, where are they located?
They're right across from each other.
Okay,
right by the stage.
Where you see the stage, there's one behind the stage, and then there's one here.
so if I'm looking at your plan, where, if you could just direct me as to where it would
It
be.
should be there.
Oh, we don't have it. So there's the stage. Do you see the stage?
I see the area, the 15 area, the black square. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, so there's, right behind it, there's a bathroom behind that stage.
Okay,
And then
Right across.
there they have a bathroom.
okay. Okay, so there's already existing bathrooms? Oh,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah, they're both there.
Oh, okay, okay, I just, that was my one question,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty
Okay.
important.
Before we go any further, Ms. Tu, did we ever get the owner's endorsement? It doesn't seem to be in the packet. You do have it? Okay. So just for the record, we do have the owner's endorsement in the packet. Sorry if it did not get in yours. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right.
All right. We had a preliminary with this applicant, and there's several things that are going on here. Eating and drinking, alcohol, beer and wine. There's all types of regulations that have come into play. And from what I understand, you've talked to the applicant about this issue?
I did.
Okay.
I also sent an email.
Which I'm going to read into the record so that the board has an understanding of what's going on, okay? This is for 59 North Street. This is an email written by Richard Krogan and sent to the applicant, myself, and Ms. Tu, all right? Ms. Williams, in reviewing and considering your application, there are many more questions than answers right now. I note that your intention is to sublet the space to clients on an as-needed basis, but the fact that food and alcohol will be consumed on the premise is a concern. You would need to apply for the necessary permits from the State Liquor Authority, a daily permit, to have only beer and wine or liquor. Said permit must be applied for at least 14 days prior to the event, and said permit must be posted in a window per SLA guidelines. There may also be a limit on how many permits during a year you are allowed to have, possibly 4. You should call them. The phone number for the SLA is 518-474-3714. Option 4, then option 2, you want the Albany area. The Department of Health of Orange County has said no permits are required, but they may be suggested to have sinks for cleaning purposes. This is provided that no preparation of food is done on site, meaning the only food that may be eaten, consumed at the premise must be prepared elsewhere and brought to this location. If food and beverages are going to be consumed at this premise, then I believe the location must be listed as an eating and drinking establishment. Per the City of Middletown Code, the location is in the DMU zone and must have a use that is permitted in that zone. I do not believe we can list it as a place of assembly when potentially alcohol and food will be allowed to be served. It is the city's Middletown's position that once alcohol and food are consumed at the premise, the owner of the establishment, you, must have all the necessary permits. This is consistent with the State of New York for establishments having food and alcohol. As a result, since you are on tomorrow's agenda, we can open the public hearing and adjourn for future consideration, or you can withdraw for your application and get your approvals or go through the process again, or lastly, modify your application not to have any food or alcohol. Even though you are only renting out the space, the business entity with the lease must have the permits to allow alcohol to be consumed in this space. As you are aware, there is a noise ordinance and limitations on hours of operation. A dance hall, disco, nightclub is not permitted under the code, and under no circumstances are the premises allowed to be rented out for that purpose. Thank you. Richard Krogan, Esquire. So that's just I want to give the board the background. We met with them, and there were a lot of questions, and questions we didn't always have answers to. And this kind of sets it up with the Board of the Liquor Authority and the Department of Health with the county. All right? So, do you have any questions at the moment? Go ahead, Ms. Houston.
If the applicant uses catering from an outside agency, that's allowed, he doesn't have to have a permit for that?
That's correct.
Okay, catering.
As long as no food is prepared on the premise, Department of Health said that would be okay.
Okay.
And Ms. Houston, that would be catering of food. Yes. The caterer would not be able to bring alcohol without permits.
Not without a caterer's permit.
Right.
Oh, there's a permit for caterers?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
For alcohol, yes.
Oh, no, but I wasn't asking about alcohol. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And there was some concern about the church. But because it would be a daily permit, they could have liquor potentially there, but they would have to get the daily permit.
Can I
Yes.
say something?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
So I think there was a lot of emphasis put on alcohol, and that is not our primary goal. As far as the alcohol, I called a few places in this area that have a business just like this, one being in Chester. And with the caterer, they could have alcohol, to my understanding. You could also have a bartender with a license, that's my understanding. And the permit would be up to the person renting the place to get. So that would take care of that 4 times a year. So, again, we would let the client know, listen, we cannot serve alcohol, there is no alcohol allowed. However, if you would like alcohol, it is up to you to get this permit for this time. And this is how I understand that other venues of like ours are handling this. We plan to have meetings, we plan to have art installations, photography, photo shoots, things of that nature. That's just a small part, and if that is a situation, then we don't have alcohol. There is no kitchen there, we do not plan to have a stove, we do not plan to do any cooking on there. They would have to bring their own food and caterer. And again, a caterer could also take care of the alcohol portion. So alcohol is just not on a big scale for us. My brother's a substance abuse counselor, so it's just definitely not something that's big for us.
Yeah, and that's very important to me that you understand that. Our motivation for this, I deal with youth sports and have been dealing with youth sports in Middletown for the last 20 years, and we deal with kids for the most part, and kids having parties and just different things like that, as well as having coaches meetings and different things like that. So that was the motivation for this type of space. It's not a space to, when somebody said discos or something like that, I'm 51. I'm just not into that type of stuff, and my sister's 52. This is not what this was for at all. I'm sorry for throwing you out there, but I'm just, as soon as they said it, it was like, wait a minute. I want y'all to understand of what we're envisioning here for this space, which is something that we've seen as a need. So this is why I was like, okay, this will be great, because we can make a nice place where people can start having even a Thanksgiving dinner where you don't have to clean up your house, where we ended up cleaning up. We end up a nice, you just see people do it, the way my sister and my niece put together a decor. It's just beautiful. So this is why we was like, well, this would be excellent. It's right downtown. It's Middletown. We've been here for 20 years. We love this town. So let's do it. And that's our motivation, not the alcohol. Like I said, substance abuse for 20 years. I work right at RC Ward. I'm here. So that's not my thing. And I work at the Parks and Rec. So, I'm here.
Do you agree with the evaluation?
I don't.
Right, because what we found out was the caterer cannot get the permit, the business
Unless
entity.
they have a caterer's permit.
Permit, right. But the business entity that is renting the space must obtain the permit.
That's right. But they'll have to comply with whatever the SLA requirements are.
Then that's fine, right. Yeah.
Definitely.
And just want to make a comment. We commend you. We understand, but you have to understand our position is too that once we approve this site for whatever we approve it for, if you leave tomorrow, okay, and the next person comes in, they get the benefit of what you've just done. All right, so we have to be very cautious or careful and code worthy of what we do. This way, the next person that comes in, they have to follow the code also. They might not be as commendable as you. So we're making sure that the code is recognized. That's all.
I totally understand, and I don't.
No, I just want to
Yeah.
make it clear that we have to think about the future, what you are, but we have to think about the future of the property as well in the downtown zone. That's kind of what we have to do.
That makes total sense.
Okay, no, I'm just trying to let you know that it's not just for you, it's for everybody that comes after you also in this property.
Mr. Atkins? If they have sternos there, is there any kind of code that has to be in compliance with?
And they'll be okay with that. That building, again, that's a fully sprinkled building. It's an updated sprinkler system and fire alarm. And it's gonna be updated, that they're still under renovation, doing renovations there. So I did have a couple questions.
Sure.
As far as your seating capacity, I'm assuming that's going to be fluid as you change what you're doing. Because like right now, I have a count of 70,
Yeah, 70.
70 seats. And I know you want between, your presentation said something like 100 occupancy, and then you have 72 to 80 total seating. So we just need to make sure we clarify that when you go into your permitting process, that I have your occupancy and I give you a placard so you have total occupancy, because when you run a space out, sometimes people like to take advantage and pack a place. So we need to know, I need to have that put on a wall somewhere so we know, okay?
Not a problem.
And then we need to make sure that we have a good rear exit on that building. I know there's a rear exit access, but when we get into the permit process and all that, we need to make sure that that's a open, clear space, because you're a very narrow and long building with just two entrances and exits. So we need to make sure we have a good rear exit on there. Okay, that's all I have.
And Mr. Atkins, are you aware of that they plan on using the basement? They'll have access to the basement. They're leasing that part and the second floor. Is that correct?
Yes, I sent in the amended plan yesterday. I brought it in.
Okay,
But,
yeah.
the
I don't think
basement-
we haven't got that yet, but that's okay.
Okay. The basement is just for storage, for
Right.
us to store our chairs and our tables
Okay.
for events.
And again, that basement's sprinkled.
Yes.
Okay. No, I just want to make everyone aware of, during a conversation and during the preliminary, that came out that they were also leasing the basement, and they're going to be leasing, actually, it's a loft area, the it's a second floor loft-like area.
Oh, yes, there's like a little
Offices.
office type thing in there.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. It's very small.
And what are you
It's up
going to
in
use
back
the second
corner.
floor for?
Just us to meet in
Just
there
you.
when the events are going on, just for us to be on premises.
Offices.
It's a very small loft area in the back of that space. It's.
And we did ask for an amended plan, but they didn't get it to us, couldn't get it to us in time.
Somebody renting the premises for an evening, would they have access to the loft, or is there a way to close that off?
We have locks on there. There's a lock on there.
Is there a third floor then above the building? Above your event space?
They're apartments,
There are residential apartments?
yes.
Now, that's another concern we've had with other projects. If there's an event going on until 1 AM with residential above, is that something that we're concerned about?
There are hours of limitation as well,
Well,
Mr. Chairman.
the code calls for Monday through Friday, 8 AM to 12 AM, by the code, by the DMU zone. They also are allowed on Saturday and Sunday to operate 8 AM or to 2 AM, according to the code. So we haven't, if we follow the code, that's their limitations.
You're asking for 1 AM.
Yes. Right now, that I have in my notes, they've asked for Monday through Friday, 8 AM to 12 AM, and for Saturday and Sunday, 10 AM to 1 AM.
Correct.
That's what they've asked for.
So what is the use then that they're going to be asking for? Is it a place of assembly?
No, it'll be eating and drinking establishment.
Explain it.
Well, we had discussed like a conference venue, whereas if you go to a conference, plenty of times caterers bring sandwiches in, they might even bring wine. Like, we're not providing any food. We're not providing any alcohol. We're just providing a space. And as I said, there are two locations like ours within less than 10 miles that are operating the same way. And I called them both today. They don't have these type of licenses. One even said you can have beer and wine. One said you just had to have a bartender that had a license, things of that nature. We're definitely not, I don't think we would be considered an eatery, and I thought when we discussed it the other day, we came up with a conference, because that would kind of.
That's what we discussed yesterday until we found out, if you remember, Mr. Krogan had to look into the liquor and the beer and wine and into the code, into the, far as the state and the county was concerned. You're still going to be considered an eatery and drinking establishment because you have to get the permits. want to say that I don't care about what happens 10 miles from here. I care what happens 5 minutes from here, okay? And
But
according to our,
just
I'm
to
sorry.
reinforce that, every town and city has their own code. So whatever Chester has is their code. Middletown isn't bound by Chester code, and Chester isn't bound by Middletown code.
One of
So
the
you have to-
locations is in Middletown, but it's okay.
Well, we think we know where you're talking about, and they never came back for their final permit, so they have their own issue going on.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever the recommendations is, we will definitely follow them.
Okay, but we're just trying to make it clear that you're the one that's going to be obtaining the permit,
Absolutely.
for especially if someone wants to come in for anything, conference, birthday party, and they're going to have any type of alcoholic beverages, you're going to obtain that permit from the liquor authority.
Okay.
Okay? Same thing with the food. You need to get a permit for the food. You'll be getting the permit, not your clients or people you're renting to.
Okay.
Okay? I believe the public hearing is still open. We'll go back to the public for any comments, questions. Anyone want to step forward? Ms. Tu, anyone on the telephone? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to go to the board one more time for any questions, comments, concerns. And we'll try to get this into a resolution. I assume we all want to go to a resolution. Okay, good. Excellent. On the resolution on 59 to 61 North Street, classified as the application might state, event venue is actually going to be an eating and drinking establishment. Going forward, any permits that are required by the state of New York, the city of Middletown, or the county of Orange will have to be obtained by the business entity, which is the applicant, okay? You are in the DMU zone. You'll have to see the architectural review board for any signage you plan on putting on your building. You have to get approval. Any facade work on the front of your building will have to go through the architectural review board, okay? Also, we're going to waive parking. That's just because you're in the downtown area. You don't own parking, so we waive parking, okay? And you will be subject to the City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and, when necessary, approval of Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the City of Middletown and the State of New York, if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables through an architect or engineer licensed in the state of New York. Whereas this application is located in the DMU zone, applicants must submit and receive approval from Department of Public Works according to Chapter 407, Solid Waste, Article 2, Collection, Section 407-3, Collection, and comply with this section and any other sections enacted by the Common Council from this date forward. I'll need a motion. Mr. Brito, second, Ms. Witt. Discussion. Roll call.
Did you read hours of operation into it?
Oh, I did not. I apologize. I did not. Hours of operation will be Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 12 a.m., Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. Sorry, I apologize. Back to the motion. Discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden.
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck.
Yes.
Mr. Brito.
Yes?
Ms. Witt.
Yes.
Ms. Houston.
Yes.
Mr. Higbee.
Yes.
And I vote yes. Please get with the DPW to get the proper permits so you can start your project.
Sounds great.
Good
Thank you
luck.
very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Cold like crazy today. Okay. Next on the agenda, pizza restaurant, 144 to 146 Dolson Avenue.
I have Riz Khan online. He just needs to unmute himself.
Okay. Please state your name for the record and your intentions.
Yeah, hi. This is Riz Khan. Thank you so much for allowing me to join this online. I have a plan to put a pizza establishment for delivery and pickup at that property.
Thank you. Ms. Tu, do we have the mailings? I'd like to open the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to comment on this application, please step forward. Ms. Tu, anyone on the telephone? Any written comments? Ms. Hanson, anyone online?
Not at this time.
Okay. I'm going to go to the board for any questions, comments, or concerns.
No dining in, just pickup and delivery?
That is correct, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the board?
Can we have your hours of operation for the record?
10 a.m. to 1 a.m.
That would be daily, I assume?
7 days a week, yes, sir.
Thank you.
How many delivery vehicles and how many employees will you have?
We're going to start with one person in the beginning delivering and one person in the evening. So it's like in the beginning, it's going to be one person, and then as the business progress, it could be 2, 3, and 4, which I'm expecting in a future year, next 4 to 5 years.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am.
And I think you all can see that it's in the Campbell Plaza, so parking is not an issue.
Mr. Atkins, any concerns?
I have no concerns. That building's fully sprinkled, full fire alarm, good access, good emergency access.
Across the street. I stand corrected. Thank you, Mr. Higbee. It's not Campbell Plaza, it's the old Redners, right? Yeah. Playtalk, near Playtalks Plaza. Thank you, Mr. Higbee. Any other questions from the board?
Is the traffic regulated in there through the traffic light, or can they go down?
They can go down by Sunoco without the traffic light. You can pick. Do you have like a name? Is it going to be a chain restaurant type of thing, or is it going to be?
That is correct. It's a franchise.
And what franchise?
It's Domino's Pizza.
Domino's, okay.
Okay.
I could tell by how nice the plan is.
Yeah.
Showing even where the dough trays are and everything.
Okay. I'll go back to the public hearing. Anyone present wishing to comment on this application, please step forward. Anyone on the telephone? Ms. Tu? Anyone online, Ms. Hanson?
Not at this time.
Okay. Going to close the public hearing. Go back to the board again for any questions, comments, or concerns. Okay. On the resolution for pizza restaurant, 144, 146 Dolson Avenue, takeout only. Hours of operation will be 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. daily. It is located in a shopping plaza, so parking is not an issue. It'll be subject to the City of Middletown DPW and City of Middletown Fire Department inspections, approvals, and when necessary, approval of the Commissioner of Public Works. The applicant will obtain all necessary permits and follow the permitting process, codes, and ordinances of the City of Middletown and the State of New York, if applicable. In addition, if throughout any of the review process, the project is deemed to require bulk requirement tables, the applicant will supply said tables through an architect or engineer licensed in the State of New York. I need a motion. Ms. Houston, I need a second. Mr. Higbee, discussion. Roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
And Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you, sir. Get your permits,
so
and good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is SB Dolson Realty, 2 to 8 James P. Kelly Way, Dunkin' Donuts.
And just so the board is aware, this is a continuation of the public hearing as a lead agency was established on this project. There isn't a public hearing opened yet?
No, I don't think so.
No, we just did lead agency?
Just did lead agency.
This is really to kind of bring the board.
And the first time for everything. I'll redact that statement.
Kind of bring the board up to speed on what's going on as far as the Dunkin' Donuts is concerned. There's been a couple iterations of the plans, traffic control. It's really kind of been cut and dry. Our engineer has seen it.
Provided comments, yes.
Yes.
Good evening. For the record, Ross Winglevitz with Engineering and Surveying Properties. Here on behalf of Sardinia Brothers for proposed Dunkin' Donuts at the corner of James P. Kelly Way and Dolson Avenue, 17M. Site's currently vacant. This is part of the property that was proposed to be a relocation of the Subaru dealership that was across the street. Steve Jardine had proposed that a few years back. Steve has sold it to my clients. They are owners of about 20 Dunkin' Donuts franchises throughout this area of New York. And they are currently the franchisee that operates the Dunkin' Donuts in front of the Playtalk Plaza. They're looking to relocate that to this location. Includes improvements of parking. There'll be a dual drive-through. As you've seen, a lot of the fast food franchises are going to dual drive-through, improve their ability to service about 50% more customers than they can without it. And that probably before the pandemic, that was over 70-some% of their business through the drive-through. Now it's probably more. We have provided detailed design plans to Jeff Schumard. He has provided technical comments on the stormwater and on the plans. I've reviewed those comments. We don't have any issues with addressing any of those, and we will. We plan on preparing a response and submitting it in time for him to review it for your December meeting. There was also concerns from the chair regarding traffic. There was an initial traffic study that was done. That traffic study has been supplemented just yesterday in a letter I forwarded to the board by Collier's Engineering, who was formerly Mazer, who was formerly John Collins, traffic consultants. They have been doing a lot of the traffic studies in that area. We did coordinate with John Fuller, engineer who's working on the hotel site in that area. He provided a copy of his study. Pete Rosillo from their office, Collier's office, reviewed that study. Their study did incorporate all the traffic from this project as well as the hotel and Middletown Commons expansion. That study indicated there was no significant impacts. We had already established that based on the study we did for this site. And from a traffic planning perspective, one of the big concerns when we had met early on with Jacob and Joe, for that matter, was traffic was one of the big concerns with the dealership here. So we've limited the 2 entries to right in, right out only. So we don't have any left turn movements, which is in the traffic world is the big problem. Somebody trying to make a left across traffic or a left into a traffic stream. So all both of our entrances are right in and right out. So they'll function with really any significant delays whatsoever. We can do this just because where we're located on that corner and the ability to get to either entrance on the exterior roadways. I think that's it. I'd be glad to answer any comments that the board may have. Also, I'm sorry, I met with Theron too last week to discuss traffic circulation for fire trucks, locations of hydrants, so forth.
Ross, Jeff's comment number 2. The site plans do not show tax parcel 54-1.
No, so the applicant also owns parcel to, I guess it's the north, that goes out to the old County Route 78. That was acquired as part of the acquisition of the parcels that were put together. I think maybe that's where Jeff picked that up, because that was part of the previous application. They do own it. We're not doing anything with it right now. It's on the other side of the power lines, so it's not part of this application.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does Jeff want it noted that the owner owns it?
He does.
Sure. That's not a problem.
Yep.
We have gotten comments back from the county. They wanted the coordinated traffic study.
So, Colliers had, we could send this letter, I think, on to the county and maybe a copy of the study that was already completed. I don't know if it was sent to them, but Steve Mafia, professional engineer, had prepared one for Wingate, which actually had considered all of those uses, indicating there was no impact. Colliers concurred with that, but I'd be glad to send that on to the county, this letter with our traffic study and with the Mafia traffic study that was done for Wingate.
Was an EAF done? Did Jeff take a look at that?
Yes, EAF was done, yep.
He had no comments on that?
No.
I think he had one, but they were in the process of doing the SWIP.
Okay.
It'll probably have to be modified
Yep.
for the final.
And did he look at the traffic study yet? But you said you just received it, right?
Traffic study was circulated early on, and then this was a request, since we started this a while ago, with the other applications coming in, Anthony had requested that we address those other applications. So that was done as this follow-up letter from Colliers. I'll make sure that Jeff has that all.
The main entrance on James P. Kelly Way, right, going in and going out, was there one on Dolson or no?
Yeah, there's one on Dolson and there's one on James P. Kelly.
The one on James P. Kelly Way, I remember, I think I brought it this last time, across the street where the other store is.
Quick Check exit,
Does
yep.
that match?
Yep,
the
they're
in
lined
and
up.
out of theirs?
Here and here, yeah.
It does, okay.
Yep.
And the traffic light is further up though, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So here's the Quick Check exit, and this is our proposed right in, right out.
Okay.
And the Dolson Avenue proposed right in, right out.
And that's in Way Yonder, right?
Yes, and we have been to Way Beyond as part of lead agency coordination, and they have no problem with this board being lead agency. They consented to that. So we just need to go back to them once this plan becomes finalized for their approval.
There's no lot line changes or any kind of subdivisions needed with
Nope.
this lot? No?
Nope.
One of the concerns I had with this property before this project was pedestrian traffic because it's such a busy intersection. Are there going to be sidewalk plans or?
The DOT has reviewed it, provided preliminary comments on the entry designs. They have not provided any input regarding sidewalks and requested sidewalks at this point.
I know that there's some sidewalks on the opposite side of the street,
Yeah.
but I mean, like by Sterling Park and,
Yeah.
On this corner, the topography of that corner is
It's-
kind of difficult to
It is, it's
to
tough.
put sidewalks, yeah.
So I can see people trying to cross and get their donuts, and I don't want anyone to get hit by a car, but
We can take a look at that. I mean, it's such a very wide road section here, and there's no light, so the only place would be really down at the corner, and that would be a DOT call because of where it would be located.
I know a while back, and I'm going back a few years, I think Mr. Higbee and I both attended a training with the county, and they were very concerned with busy roadways like that, and increasing pedestrian traffic as well. But I know it's an expensive endeavor. I just want to make sure our public is safe. Thanks.
Has the comments from the county come back yet, or no?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
They did? Did they recommend sidewalks? Because usually they do. They didn't? Yeah. They usually do.
Well, I think they're letting the state of, the DOT kind of
Yeah.
deal with it, so. They always recommend sidewalks. I mean, you could, no matter where they go.
Yes.
And we do have a lot more people walking in town than we
Yeah.
ever have. I mean, everybody can agree on.
Yeah, Jeff's comment 7, he did get the traffic study, he did concur with the results, and then he does go on to discuss the other projects, Middletown Commons and the hotel. So I'll provide the follow-up letter to him addressing that.
Was there an issue with the traffic that this will cause with the lights and anything there?
No, he agrees that there's basically no impact. Yeah, minimal or minor impact. I do not take issue with this conclusion. But he asks us to look at the bigger picture with the other projects.
What's up?
There was Jeff's comments didn't come with ours then, right? Must be new then, we didn't get them? Because we didn't get them.
No, I think they're just the end of last week, maybe?
Yeah, October
Came in.
26th they're dated.
Yeah. Being a preliminary, we couldn't get them out in time.
Okay.
But when the next packet you get should have all the paper
All right.
that's associated with this. And hopefully, at that point in time, too, you'll have the applicant's responses to Jeff's letters, too.
Ross, when do you think you'll be able to have your response letter?
So I forget, your usual deadline's about 2 weeks before the meeting, is that, and so I had calendared that as our submission deadline for our guys to get that back into you, so we would have it 2 weeks before your meeting.
Martina, do you have the date?
Well, I would say, because the next meeting in December would be December the 1st. So that would be, well, you got Thanksgiving week in there, too.
Yeah, I have on my calendar to submit on the 17th to your office.
Yeah, that would
Two
be
weeks from
pushing
today.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somewhere like on the 12th, so that everybody gets it the week of the 15th. Because after that, they got Thanksgiving week, that'll be pretty short.
Rich, do we have to wait for Way Beyond to approve, since they're lead agency, before we can?
We're lead agency.
We're lead agency.
I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so they're waiting for us.
Yep.
We don't have to wait for comments from them?
No, Ross, they provided comments, right?
Yeah, with their lead agency determination, yeah, that they did send back something that was back in, I'm gonna say April or something.
Did they recommend sidewalks?
No.
Okay.
Because we'll have to do a neg deck, too, now that we have the EAF started in place. Right. 'Cause I'm not sure how it goes, Mark, Ms. Two, but being that Thanksgiving is, would you need to have that in by the 26th of November? That's the Friday after Thanksgiving to the paper? Okay. You guys are actually off on the 26th, is that correct, the day after? So we probably have to submit it on the 24th, which would be the day before Thanksgiving, but Ms. Tu, we'll check on those dates so that we make sure we get you on the December agenda.
Thank you.
Okay, that one's out of the way.
Next.
Next. 36 to 60 Industrial Drive. Industrial Place, excuse me. Warehouse. He's here.
Again, for the record, Ross Winglevitz, Engineering and Surveying Properties.
Change your hat.
As the name says, the property is located at 3660 Industrial Drive. This is a property that is across from what is Pop Corners, which is now, I guess, PepsiCo. The applicant is proposing to take down what is in the rear of those buildings. There's an existing two-story block office building. To the left is an HVAC contractor. And to the rear of the buildings is basically shed roof structures, kind of as a lumber yard or something. I don't know what it was. It must have been some kind of storage facility at one point. They're going to remove those and construct a warehouse in that location. Existing masonry office building, single-story masonry HVAC building. This is occupied by Crystal Run. There's an HVAC contractor here, a propane contractor in a small building here, and then we're proposing a 72,000 square foot warehouse that would connect to that office space. The goal would be to then be able to rent the office warehouse space together. New loading docks, new road entirely around the structure, parking for 144 cars. I went back because I know that Anthony and Rich had brought up comments about parking and concerns about parking. Early on in the process, we had provided a lot of information on parking, so I just wanted to touch base on that. So parking by code doesn't, actually, your code doesn't require parking for existing structures. But we did do the calculation considering those as if they were new. It's one space per 300 square feet of office. We outlined the office space and the requirements for that. There's actually 57 parking spaces required for the office. The other structures we classified as warehouse space, and there's about 81,100 square feet of warehouse space. Parking for warehouse under your code is one space per 2 employees. The question is, how many employees are we going to have? That's always the question of the day. Do a lot of work with partnership. They've done a lot of studies based on warehouses. The study that they authored a few years ago was 1 employee per 1,750 square feet of warehouse. So we were conservative. We estimated 1 employee per 1,000 square feet. And we came up with a total of 81 employees or 41 parking spaces. So we came up with a demand of 98 parking spaces. Rich and Anthony were concerned about that. We originally had 113 spaces, I think, on our plan. 115. So we went to work and we provided some more parking, so we're up to 144 parking spaces from the original 115 that we had proposed. The site actually drains rather well. I was out there during the big storm last week on Tuesday because I happened to be in the area, so I wanted to go take a look. Everything is coming from the north, down Industrial. It's picked up in the drainage system, goes around the building, and there's a discharge point on the south side of the building. Water and sewer services are existing. We have met with Theron regarding fire access around the building. We had a figure that we had prepared and submitted showing Middletown aerial ladder truck being able to navigate completely around. The road is 30 foot wide around there. We made it wide. We only expect that truck traffic would be coming in on the south side of the building, where the loading docks are. They'll be coming in, backing into their loading spots, exiting back out through the same location. But we did provide a 30-foot wide aisle all the way around the building for that errant driver who's coming from someplace and makes a wrong turn, for fire access as well. So I think it served a good purpose. Redelineating and redefining the parking lot that's out in front of the office. So that's been reworked, provided some landscaped islands there. I think that's it. We did also get comments from Jeff's office on this. We don't have a problem addressing any of these highly technical comments on the SWIP. He indicates that the parking appears to be adequate. Some comments on some inverts on catch basins and so forth. Landscape plan. He asked about a landscape plan, and we'll have one prepared. Really, the only place I envision landscaping is along the frontage of the building. The back of it's pretty industrial. I don't know if the board has any concerns or desires to see landscaping elsewhere. The property really isn't changing use significantly from what is already there. And I'd be glad to answer any comments.
Is there proposal for any kind of buffer in the rear between the property, the rear space of your property and then the residential units that are on Highland Avenue Extension?
Currently is not. Currently is not. So maybe that's what Jeff was getting at as far as landscaping or buffering in the rear. Nope, they currently overlook that industrial area in the back, and that there hasn't been anything proposed there. One of those lot owners does encroach. I know Rich was going to try to get with Corporation Counsel to see if there was any way that the city wanted to address that encroachment. I've reached out to my client, and they've gotten their attorney looking at it to see if there's anything they want to do. Certainly could provide landscaping and fencing if there's something that the board is concerned about.
So are you paving more, like, further back or to the side, or this is already existing?
Edge of pavement is about here.
Okay.
So we are going back about another 50 feet. These are the overhead canopies here.
What about lighting? Is there a lighting plan, or are you using the lights that are already there?
We're going to put up new lights. The new lights that are there, the lights that are there are wooden poles, overhead electrical service to each light. So we're going to provide new lighting. I do not believe we've got a lighting plan done yet. I'd have to look.
Have you had any conversations with your applicant on additional parking that we thought to the right of the plan, going onto that, since he owns that property?
I missed my whole speech.
I did. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well,
No, that's all right.
Ross says that he has enough parking on site.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to go back and look at that, Anthony, because we had discussed this twice in February. So based on the code, yeah, we do have a lighting plan, so there's all new lighting proposed around the exterior, building mounted lighting as well. Like I said, what's there is not adequate currently.
So
Yeah,
did-
because Rich, you and I had several discussions early on, and I had went through, based on your code, assuming it was all new construction, 98 parking spaces we estimated would be required. We originally had 115, and at your request, we did add additional. So we went from 115 to 144 on the early concept sketches. So we think that we have plenty of parking. If you look at what's projected parking versus actually what's already occupied, we have twice as many parking spots allotted.
Because you have a couple of businesses there,
Yeah.
businesses operating there too,
Correct.
right? Did the propane service?
Yep. So the propane service has 4 parking spots that they're currently using. The HVAC guy 4, and the Crystal Run Village actually 5. So those spaces are occupied, and they're actually proving that there's a lot less parking than your code requires, but we're even in excess of the code. So we feel we're in good shape.
Mr. Atkins, is parking and occupancy, is that you or Mr. Martinez?
It's a combination. We work together on it. I had a preliminary meeting about the parking situation and the parking requirements up there. I think they're good. There's plenty of access for us. So, that was my biggest concern, and some of the setback issues, and they're all addressed for me.
So you agree with the applicant's interpretation of the number of parking spaces required?
Yeah, I think he's okay.
So he's okay. All right. We just, we had to beat him. We had to browbeat him into those extra spaces.
We also don't want parking on the street,
Right.
so we're trying to keep it all on site.
Well, I think if somebody parked on that street, they'd be taking their car and putting it in a very dangerous situation, so.
What about tractor-trailer traffic? How many do you anticipate in and out in time?
We don't know. This is always a spec building, and that was kind of what why Anthony was saying, okay, parking, where do we land? Because we don't really know the end user here. So it's a spec building. We've provided space for, I think, 6 loading docks at the rear. So truck traffic coming down Industrial, taking a right into the second entrance, or actually third entrance. They'll be able to back into their spaces and leave through that entrance. So we have plenty of room for radiuses, for trucks to get in and out onto Industrial Drive. So it works very well.
So you're really not sure because you don't know what's going to be in
We
there
don't know
yet,
how
right?
many, yes. We know there's going to be trucks. I don't know how many, depending on the user, yeah.
The large tractor-trailers, you think, or the small?
Large, yeah.
The
It's,
large
it's set up for larger tractor trailers. We give them 135 feet, I think, for loading dock space, which is what they're all looking for the larger trailers.
Is it the concern of ours if there was a sufficient business where there was more truck traffic than there were loading docks? And if so, if you have 6 trucks already at loading docks and there's a 7th truck pulling up, is it sitting out on Industrial Place? And is that a concern that we should have? As they line up to go into like Revere out in the town of Wallkill, and you can
Yeah.
barely get through that road at times.
Right. Yeah, especially in this situation, it's a spec building. And I only, pounded on the parking because I'm worried about the employees having a place to park and that nature, but you bring up a good point. Depending upon what got there and tractor-trailer traffic, we could do something similar like we did to 34 Cottage. We could state that we wouldn't allow the tractor-trailers to be parked on the street for any, length of time. The idling law comes into effect, all of that. We could still stipulate that.
Yeah, I think you asked me to put those notes on the plan, or Rich had asked me to put that note on the plan regarding, kind of a
Yeah,
FYI,
right.
all trucks must comply with the auditing law. There's actually 7 loading docks. I couldn't see from here.
I mean, it is industrial, it is mainly an industrial area, but I do understand what you're saying. We don't want the streets any more clogged up than, because who knows where they go? They'll end up someplace down on Highland Avenue Extension or someplace waiting, which would not be good. Yes, Mr. Atkins.
So I've been back there quite a bit for various reasons. Pop Corners is a very busy business with tractor trailers coming in and out. That road's fairly wide. I don't see a situation where they were going to back up all the way to Highland Avenue.
Right.
Or Highland Avenue Extension. That's a long distance.
That's a long, I was exaggerating, but just the worst case scenario.
The road there is a little extra wide going through that area. There's additional spots.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to hold him accountable for Pop Corners sitting on the side of the street, especially because they're town of Wallkill and we're Middletown.
Yeah, yeah.
Just my opinion.
Well, since he's put it on the plans that, there won't be any excessive truck parking on the street while waiting, and he'll follow the New York State idling laws, I think that's about what we can do at this point. We can't limit him, we can't tell him how many, because he doesn't, at this point, he doesn't even know.
But do we know, Ross, is this a potential to be a 24/7 operation?
Yeah, we do not know. It could be. I doubt it. It could be, though. There's no, like I said, no end user at this point.
So shouldn't there be screening around to prevent if you're gonna have night traffic coming in, lights going onto the residential homes, tractor trailers pulling in with headlights, 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yep, if that's a concern, absolutely can be
I think-
provided along the rear of those lots.
That's a good point. I think the board would be interested in proper screening along with the landscaping.
And then the idling at night in the rear, up against the
Yeah.
properties.
Well, we could do the same thing like we did RDM. We, requested no truck idling after 10 PM or something of that nature, since it is a partial residential area. Yes, we can do that. In fact, they can put that on the plan also.
So after 10 PM before 6 AM, or what's the morning time?
Yeah, like 7, not too early in the
Talking about
morning.
idling?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, but there's like laws and regulations against idling.
But the problem is, once they get on that private property,
No, you still can't idle.
still can't idle, but
No.
we still don't want them there.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, like, we can, I don't, not arguing that we should put something in there, but it shouldn't be during certain times, it should be all the time, 24 hours a day. We shouldn't let them idle during the day or at night.
Yeah, there's a regulation.
No idling.
yeah, more than-
That's true, too.
Yeah, I mean, it still makes fumes, it still makes,
Yeah, I think we were specific with RDM because of the proximity of the
well, we actually limited them to what time they could bring their vehicles in.
correct, yeah.
Not just idling.
Yeah,
We actually put limitations that they couldn't have deliveries after 10 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or
Because that
whatever it
was
was.
their hours of operation,
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
This we don't know.
But as far as idling is concerned, it shouldn't be no idling there should be no idling.
No idling.
I mean,
So it's up to them. They park on the site, they shut down, and
Yeah.
they wait.
yeah.
Okay? That's understandable. And
And that's what the state gives you the state law is 5 minutes. You can't idle more than 5 minutes.
So what happens is with the residents, if those truckers don't do that, the residents will complain and the police will have to act.
Yeah. And a lot of the new vehicles have automatic shut-offs now.
Really?
I know our buses do.
Yeah. So if you're not
They-
moving, it shuts off?
Once it reaches optimal temperature.
Oh, yeah?
And it idles for more than 5 minutes, it just shuts off.
Wow.
Oh, really?
That's wild. How do you start it back up? Not the,
Just
We'll
turn
provide
the
no
key.
problem providing screening and, along those residences in the rear. That's not
sorry
an
about
issue.
that, we digressed for a moment.
No, that was interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I never knew that. Okay.
Martina, did we get comments back from the county on this? Or did we have to send to the county?
We're within 500 feet of Wallkill, so we're gonna have to, right? Yeah.
So do we need comments from Wallkill and the county?
Tell Wallkill we're lead agency, yeah.
Okay.
We have to establish lead agency. We haven't done that yet.
Can we do that tonight and get that, at least that circulation, and then maybe by December, we could be ready for a hearing in January?
We could if the board was prepared.
I don't have the resolution, obviously. I didn't make it up. I could just tell you you have lead agency, and we'll give vote on it, and then I
Yeah, I think it's an
can make it
unlisted
official.
action, so it doesn't need to be circulated. I guess the only thing that really does need to be circulated would be the.
Especially if he wants
the
to start
county referral.
circulating it.
If you're okay with making a county.
Well,
referral,
this is
that's really-
this is a preliminary hearing. I can ask, does anybody have an issue with moving to a lead agency with this project? No? Okay.
No. I will be absent at the December meeting. I don't think that'll impact anything, but I just
Okay.
want to make that clear.
All right. I mean, I'll put it up for a resolution. Well, we're not going to do a neg deck until you have to do the SWIP and the EAF, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah,
But,
at this point, just lead agency and referral to the county would be great, and then we can
okay.
get that taken care of And then hopefully, if everything's good, January for a public hearing.
So basically, on a resolution, the City of Middletown Planning Board is declaring lead agency on the project 36 to 60 Industrial Drive LLC. For now, and then I can make a motion by Mr. Numcheck. I need a second by Mr. Higbee. Discussion, roll call. Mr. Madden?
Yes.
Mr. Numcheck?
Yes.
Mr. Brito?
Yes.
Ms. Witt?
Yes.
Ms. Houston?
Yes.
Mr. Higbee?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
And I'll get plans to Martina for the county referral, and I very much appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Is that what they call unanimous second?